Each semester, every student runs into the difficulty of needing to finish the semester strong. So today what I want to do is offer you 5 ways or reminders that will help you finish the semester in a strong way. I want to begin by mentioning that every semester is different. There are no 2 semesters that are the same, just like there's no 2 instructors that are the same or 2 classes. And depending on the balance that you have each semester and also the amount of competency that you have in the subject matter for those classes, as we get towards the end of any semester, those types of variables are going to matter as far as our ability to be able to finish strong. But the most important element is your level of motivation. Many students start off the semester with a high amount of motivation, but as the semester continues, that motivation begins to drop and drop and drop. And then as we get into these last 3 or 4 weeks of the semester and we see the end coming near, sometimes we get an element of what we would call senioritis, where we see the end and we kind of just want it to be done and we don't end up working as hard as we could and finish in a strong way. So I want to offer these 5 things today that I believe will help you in finishing strong. The first is remind yourself why you're in school. This is really important to do on a consistent basis and not just at the end, but sometimes when your motivation is waning or lessening, you really need to remind yourself as to the purpose of why you're in school. Now, it is important to note here that if you are unaware, if you're just in school to be in school and you're not quite sure why you're in school, then that should be something that you are constantly exploring and examining. Because if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have an end goal or a main reason as to why you're in school, then identifying what that is and keeping it in view. I would recommend that you have some kind of visual, of a picture even, of something that will allow you to always remind yourself as to why you're in school. What is the goal? What is the target? The second thing is remind yourself that regret sucks and good grades are awesome. Everybody wants good grades. Matter of fact, at the beginning of each semester, I will oftentimes ask my students, how many of you guys want to get an A in this class? And most of them will raise their hand because everybody wants an A. But when I follow up with the question of who actually thinks they're going to put in the time and effort that's going to earn them the A, what ends up happening is that a lot of hands start going down. Part of what you really need to establish is a desire to want to earn a good grade, an awesome grade. And your standard is going to be different according to what your goals are. But let's say you want an A in a class. Well, if you want an A, then you're going to have to finish strong. And I can guarantee you this. If you don't do the work that you need to do in order to finish strong and end up regretting the actions that you took in the process of finishing the semester, you're going to hate that a lot more than you're going to hate the work that you're putting in for the good grade. The good grade is the reward that you're going to get, and it's going to make all the effort that you put in now and until the end of the semester well worth it. Don't get to the point to where after the semester you're regretting your actions because you didn't put the time and the effort in. Regret sucks. Good grades, awesome grades are a lot better. The third thing is take time to have high density fun and remove low density fun. This is actually a concept that I've adopted from Thomas Frank over at College Info Geek. And if you don't know who he is or haven't seen his resource, I would highly encourage you to go check him out as well. And I'll leave that information in the description. But he wrote a book that is actually free if you go to his site called 10 Steps to Earning Awesome Grades. And towards the end of the book, he describes the difference between high density fun and low density fun. High density fun would be the types of things that you really enjoy doing. And depending on your taste or your preferences, that can be a large range of different things depending on what you like. And then low density fun is really more just distractors that we actively engage in that take too much of our time. Things like scrolling through our social media or doing anything on our phone that is not all that productive, but just serves as that low density level of enjoyment that just kind of passes the time. When I poll my students as to the amount of time that they actually waste in any given day on their tech, the numbers end up being quite astronomical on average. If most college students average somewhere between 4 and 7 hours a day of unproductive tech time, imagine the amount of things that you could do, especially at the end of the semester, if you were reallocating that unproductive time towards productive time. I would never recommend to a student, or anyone for that matter, to put themselves in a position where it's always work, work, work. You need to carve out time for some fun, and high density fun at that. Enjoy yourself immensely whenever you carve out that time. And I would recommend that you probably put it on a daily part of your routine. And make sure that whenever you say you want to have some fun, have some fun. But whenever it's time to work, work. And make sure that you are more productive than not. The fourth thing relates to the previous point, and that is make sure and take at least one full day off every week. What I mean by that is make sure that there's a day in which you don't have any work-related or school-related tasks on your schedule. Now, I know that every student's schedule is a bit different. Some of you guys work full-time and also are going to school full-time, so you may not have the luxury of carving out an entire day. But if you do, it would be a good habit of yours to load up your 5 or 6 days of the week with all the work that you need to get done, and make sure that you have that 7th day or that 1 day a week that you are carving out to really just do whatever it is that you want to do. Some of that fun that we were talking about in step 3. Remember, this is all about trying to keep a certain measure of balance in our lives. And if you don't have a proper balance, then you're going to end up running yourself thin. So as you're getting into those last 3 or 4 weeks of the semester, work as hard as you can in those days that you said that you're going to work, but take your time to relax as well by carving out that 1 day. The last thing is, don't put yourself in a position to which you have to pull an all-nighter. It's simply unhealthy. Now, you may be able to pull an all-nighter and get away with it. You might even do well on a test or two, but it doesn't mean that it's in your best interest. If you really manage your time well in the 3 to 4 weeks leading up to your finals, then you won't have to pull an all-nighter. All-nighters are typically reserved for the people who have procrastinated and who have to cram at the last minute. And even though you might convince yourself that putting yourself up against the wall, putting that pressure on yourself is what allows you to work at your best, I want you to take into consideration that you might be wrong, and that if you would spend time for the next 3 to 4 weeks before finals really get here, putting in the time that you need in order to really know and understand the information, you're going to be in a much better place when it comes time to taking your finals. Now again, you don't have to do this, but from the standpoint of you keeping a fresh mind, and that includes being able to access the memories that you have stored whenever you need them, then getting proper full rest is important, and not putting yourself in a position where you have to pull an all-nighter just kind of goes hand in hand with that perspective. Okay, so we talked about 5 ways or reminders today that will help you finish the semester off strong. You don't necessarily have to implement all 5, and even if you only implemented 1, it would be better than none. If you really do want to finish the semester off strong, you will do what you have to do to put yourself into a position for success. If you found this helpful, then I would encourage you to subscribe. If you have some friends that you know struggle finishing the semesters off strong, share this with them. Learn, develop, grow. That's what we're all about at Think It Clear. I'm Dr. Jason Wright, and I hope to see you again next time.